we stand for our rights. We won't back down. With fire in our hearts, we're taking the town. Against the shadows, we'll fight for our land. Together we rise, united we stand for the beat of the drums. We'll chant and shout across the street or say the hearts of the crowd. No room for whispers, for fear and regret. We'll write our own story, you ain't seen nothing yet. We'll freedom we cherish, we'll make a stand. We're ready up to fight it. Time for our dance.
In the shadows they gather, with their banners raised high, a song of defiance echoes beneath the sky. They rise up in the night with passion burning bright.
In the shadows they stand, with courage so bold, fighting for the land, legends to behold. They whisper of hope, like tales of old. Right-wing heroes rise, their stories unfold. Oh, they carry the flame ever bright, guiding us home through the night.
In the heart of the jungle there's a whisper. John Birch, a soldier, takes the lead. With the spirit so brave he conquers darkness. On his mission hear the call, take heed. Through the shadows red wild winds blow. Seeking the truth where few dare to go. John in the heart of the wild. John on a journey so styled. John in the heart of the wild. With faith in his soul he speaks to the lost, bringing warmth with every tale he tells. Through the valleys and hills where the rivers cross, he fights for the ones who dwell in the shells. With every step he dances with faith, unraveling tales that forever await. John in the heart of the wild. John on a journey so styled. John in the heart of the through the battles, through the night, he carries a flame, a guiding light. For every soul that's searching for peace in his heart, may the sorrow cease. John in the heart of the wild. John on a journey so styled. John in the heart of the wild.
We stand firm in our belief.
Hold tight.
Through the times clearer we can see. Crazy world spinning round.
Stay grounded.
In our hearts simple truths of creed. Whisper of freedom and liberty.
Rings true.
Our foundation strong and deep. Holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady paths we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow. In the story we've built for trust and
Never doubt.
time flies but we won't bend. Communists talk loud and fast.
Stay silent.
Our quiet strength is our reply. Souls salute to change but pause.
Reflect.
In unity our dearest friend. holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady path we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow. In shadows we find our light, through chaos we stay upright. With courage, faith on our side,
Forever.
standing firm, our guide. Holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady path we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow. In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty's throng. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep, as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway, in the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
With a flagpole planted firm,
Golden dreams that won't decay,
marching proudly through the day.
In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains all, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive, in the light of freedom's sky. We got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
In the shadows they stand, with courage so bold, fighting for the land, legends to behold. They whisper of hope, like tales of old. Right's wing heroes rise, their stories unfold. Oh, they carry the flame ever bright, guiding us home through the night.
Hello and welcome to Culturama, where on this show we are reclaiming the zeitgeist in America and we are taking back tomorrow today. Thank you everyone that has showed up in today's show. It's going to be a stellar show today. We have a special guest today, everyone. His name is Nick DiAugustino and he's a political strategist, and we are going to pick his brain a little bit about some of the political underpinnings and the cultural underpinnings that has been affecting us as of late. But oh, it looks like my sound is very loud. Hold on a second. There we go. I don't want to overdo you guys with the audio here. But tariffs, that has been on the news. And since Donald Trump has now instituted an unprecedented level of tariffs, what is to become of the economy? We're going to be discussing that, reading a few articles, analyzing it, as well as discussing the Wisconsin Supreme Court race as well. That is going to be big news, and how other right-wing organizations that were involved in the process of that have really failed to turn out the vote. So we're going to be talking about that, as much as many more cultural items on this show today on Culturama. I want to thank you all for coming in today. If you have a chance, please visit the ap4libertyshop.com to get any Culturama related items, or if you want to support the show directly and have me read your comments, please send in a Rumble rant. That will go a long way in supporting the show. But also, you get to have me read anything that you write, given that it is written within reason. Also, I want to show you guys a little something that I've created. Now, we have been, having donations come and go, obviously, but there is this new feature that I want to show you guys, and this is a spin the wheel. So if we get a certain type of donation in, I will spin the wheel in your honor, and I'll show you how this wheel looks like. There are 4 options on the wheel. Now, let me see if I can pull it up right here. Hold on a second. There it is. Okay, here we go. So let me show you guys how this looks like. So this is the wheel behind me, everyone. I just spun it just to show you. So we have a very special Culturama spin the wheel option. So if you donate a $5 or more donation, I will spin the wheel in your honor. And how this looks like. So we have 4 options here, just so you guys know. First one, we have a hot Bible take. I will read a Bible verse, random Bible verse, and give you my take on it. Because sometimes I have some, orthodox views in the Bible and some not so orthodox. So we have that. We have a rant. If you want me to rant or look into a story that you specifically want, I will do that. If you don't have anything in mind, maybe something will come up, or that's just a $5 donation, or I can spin again in your name, in your honor, if there's not an idea. But if there's a specific topic, subject that you want me to discuss, this is what the Rantorama means, and I will talk about it, or even just research it on stream or look into it. The third option we have here is read-based philosophy. I have with me some Evola, some Julius Evola, and I will read a passage from Julius Evola if it lands on here for today. And lastly, we have a free promo code. This is probably the best one you can land on. If you land on this option, what will happen is that I will DM you privately a promo code that you can get a certain % off of anything in the Culturama shop. But you're going to have to send me your Twitter @ if you don't have one. There is perhaps another way. I could send you my email, and then you can email it to me, and I'll send you the promo code that way. But once again, this is exactly the Wheel of Fortune. So if you donate $5 or more, I will spin this wheel for you guys. All right. All right. So. And yes, I see Nelson65 is asking, we don't have a Leo cam yet, that is still in the works. But also, if you guys do not know, I also have another option for y'all. I don't usually say y'all, but we have an Unleash the Beast meter. And what that means is if we get garner $70 or more on this stream, I will bring out, yes, my dog on stream. I know he came out last time, but it looks like if the people want Leo, they'll get Leo. I'll bring him out, and he will sit for the rest of the duration of the stream, and we will read the stories together. So that is a Leo the Beast meter, everybody. Anyways, I need to get on with the show because we do have an interview coming up in the next 40 minutes or so. But I wanted to jump right in the news. Mr. Pig and others are excited about Leo. I see in the chat already. So yes. But yes, we have a lot to talk about. So let me jump into the first story here, everybody. I don't even have my links up. I am a little unprepared here. Excuse me. But let's jump into, and I want to open in this this next story here about Wisconsin. Where's the video? Let me play this video for you guys.
Right now, some important elections to.
Let me jump into the, hold on, there we go. Let me get this scene out here. Okay, I want to make sure my desktop sound is on. So, Wisconsin, for those that don't know, there has been a Supreme Court race happening in Wisconsin. And the outcome of this race really is going to determine, I think, the rest of the effects of the political climate and environment here in the United States. And that's what people have been saying. Now, conservatives, Republicans have been pretty much set that a conservative would win the Supreme Court race, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. No pun intended. Let's listen to this video.
tell you about that are taking place in Wisconsin and Florida. In Wisconsin, voters are choosing the state's next Supreme Court justice. More than $90 million have been spent on that race.
I want you guys to understand $90 million. That is perhaps not counting the additional money that has been put into third-party organizations like Turning Point Action, Turning Point USA's arm, that sent out people to doorbell for this race.
Making it the most expensive judicial contest in history. Democrats like Illinois billionaire Governor J.B. Pritzker are propping up the liberal candidate, Susan Crawford, while Elon Musk is throwing his support behind the conservative candidate, Brad Schimmel.
So we had Crawford, she was a Democrat, and then we have Schimmel, this guy right here. He was the one that was promoted by Elon Musk and by Trump, and unfortunately he didn't win. It is a bad day for cheeseheads everywhere, everyone. Please give them your thoughts and prayers over this devastating result.
Told me 6 months ago that this was what was going to be happening. I would not have believed it, but here we are.
We have made sure to remind voters that their fundamental rights are at stake in this election.
Now, the outcome of this could impact issues like abortion, labor laws, and congressional redistricting in that critical swing state. Meanwhile, in Florida, there are 2 special elections to replace House seats that were once held by Mike Waltz and Matt Gaetz.
It's also normal for
So this will be really interesting to see how this will look like moving forward, especially for a swing state like Wisconsin. Like I said, this probably has a lot of unintended effects on the political system and in the political environment in the United States moving forward, as well as for many other future elections. Now, once again, I want to go over how third-party right-wing organizations have actually failed in the act of electing a conservative into that role. I'm going to be responding to that and more, especially in the tariff question or the TQ, when I come back here on Culturama, everyone. Please stay tuned. I'm going to be pulling up those stories. Send in your donations. Smash that like button, as the YouTubers say. And also share and like this. I just said like. Share the stream. Copy the link. Share it to someone. Share it in your group chats. Share it to your friends. Let's get this party started and increase the viewership count, everyone. Also to know, after this stream, on every Thursday night, we have the Liberty Tonight Show. It's a fun party here, everybody. So stay tuned. I will be right back.
Well, here comes Daniela like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the 4 olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah. Who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have Glad You Came Out, and I'm so happy that you're queer in the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse, was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop scrolling, because if you're tired of the same old news, then I've got just the wake-up call for you. I want to thank you for tuning in to Culturama, and I know that you're enjoying every minute of it. Join us at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. The Wake Up America show is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great way to start your day. Coffee's optional, but waking up is mandatory. Remember, at Wake Up America, we'll keep you sharp, we'll keep you laughing, most of all, we'll keep you free. I'll see you in the morning.
Welcome, everyone. I forgot to read off who was present in the chat in the beginning of the last segment. So let me quickly say hello to all of my fans here and the Culturama heads. By the way, what's a good name for Culturama? I'm thinking like Culturamarites, Culturomanians. You guys can leave a suggestion in the chat. But we have Nelson65. Good evening, Nelson. Happy Liberation Day, writes Nelson. Quest Fanning, of course. Hello, Quest Fanning. Barney Styles. We have Bruiser55. Very good to see you, Bruiser. We have, of course, Mr. Pig. Robbie Thurman. Thank you for coming in, Robbie Thurman. Who else do we have? I think I saw JJ. Grizz Cheese. Bust the deal, face the wheel. Exactly, Grizz Cheese. Very beautifully put. And we have Fiery Waco. We have all the usuals in the chat. And if you're a lurker, please feel free to comment in the chat. I love meeting new faces. And if you are watching on a different platform, such as YouTube or Twitch, I do not have access to those comments right away. So the best way to reach me, if you want to reach me, is through the Rumble chat. Especially if you send in a Rumble donation, everybody. Okay. Culturanians makes a lot of sense, Robbie Thurman. Also, culture cluster. I will have to write those down and keep those in mind. I do like culture cluster. It is better than the Culturama cultists, writes Bruiser55. Very true. Okay, well, Wisconsin race. I know this has been on the news quite a bit. I kind of dropped the ball last time. I didn't talk about it last stream, but I am going to talk about it this stream. So it's not exactly brand new news. I'm sure all of you guys have your own opinions about the situation, but this is mine. And that is, of course, the Wisconsin race. It's going to have a great deal in the political climate on moving forward in elections. It's going to affect redistricting. It's going to affect House races. So obviously, this is going to be a bigger deal. A lot of people have been pinning this on abortion. And now abortion was the determining factor in why the liberal contender won. Now, Crawford. Now, although I do see this being the case and that abortion is a pressing issue, I've actually said this, that during the presidential race, abortion was a very pressing issue during the presidential race, which is at least what motivated a young woman to come out and vote. However, something tells me it wasn't just a single issue that determined the effect of this race. I actually think it's deeper than this. I think that, well, how about this? I will share with you guys my opinions a little later on as we go through, but I wanted to pull up a few articles for you guys to read through together so we can get a better understanding of what happened, okay? So this is the first article I have pulled up here. Democrat-backed Susan Crawford wins Wisconsin Supreme Court seat, cementing liberal majority. Let's take a read here pretty quickly. Let's skim it over. Just to give you guys some extra context here, Pensamaniacs, writes Barney Styles in the chat, or Leonites, writes Grizz Cheese. I love it, you guys. Those are great. Pensamaniacs, I think, is pretty good, but Leonites makes a lot more sense. There we go.
Monster kill.
Excuse me. The Democrat-backed candidate for Wisconsin Supreme Court defeated a challenger endorsed by Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk. They just have to throw it in there that Elon is a billionaire. Okay. She was touting her victory as a win against powerful interests, cementing a liberal majority for at least 3 more years. Susan Crawford, a Dane County judge who led fights to protect union power, workers' rights, abortions' rights. You know, you guys know the drill. To oppose voter ID, stood on the stage, surrounded by the court's 4 current liberal justices, and celebrated her win as a victory for democracy. I need a sound effect for that. The amount of times I read about democracy ever since starting the show is quite ridiculous, as though this is seriously such a pressing issue, while also taking a dig at Musk. Quote, growing up in Chippewa Falls, I never could have imagined that I would be taking on the richest man in the world for justice of Wisconsin, Crawford said, and we won. Musk and groups he's backed has spent more than $21 million. Think about that, $21 million in an effort to defeat Crawford. Musk even traveled to Wisconsin wearing the cheesehead hat. If you guys saw that, the dysgenics, writes Nelson65. Nelson65 wants to call Trauma fans the dysgenics. I love it. I may have to use that one, Nelson. You gotta be dysgenic to watch me speak. This is true. And enjoy it. Probably explains why a lot of grapers watch me. I am kidding. I'm kidding. That was just a joke. A little bit of a joke. Musk even traveled to Wisconsin 2 days before the election to personally hand over $1 million checks to 2 voters. Okay, so this was a very expensive race. This was a heated race. I still feel bad I dropped the ball on this story last stream when it was happening. I noticed the viewership was a bit down because, people were watching other streamers look at the results. But we're covering it here now. Here's another article out of Wisconsin. Talking about this, Crawford beats Schimmel, I think is how you pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce this name. This is a foreign name here. I'm not aware of how to pronounce this. Schimmel, I think. In nation's most expensive court race. So this article says it is the most expensive court race. Okay. Dane County Judge Susan Crawford secured an open seat in the Wisconsin Supreme Court, solidifying liberal control for at least another 3 years, as she easily won the most expensive judicial race in U.S. history, you guys. 21 million, that's like loose change in the couch cushions, writes Barty Styles. Maybe for these people it is. With more than 3/4 of the statewide voting in Crawford was at 54% compared to 45% for Brad Schimmel. As Crawford addressed supporters in Madison, she acknowledged the billionaire-fueled spending in the race, particularly the impact of Elon Musk. Of course, she's going to hit him hard where it hurts. The Tesla CEO and the top aide to President Donald Trump and his PACs spent more than $24 million, so I'm going to guess it's around like $20 to $25 million approximately on the race. Crawford told supporters she never imagined while growing up in Chippewa Falls that she'd someday take on the richest man in the world. Today, Wisconsinites fended off an unprecedented attack on our democracy, our fair elections, and our Supreme Court, and Wisconsin stood up and said loudly that justice does not have a price. Crawford said, our courts are not for sale. Now, okay, I understand at the end of the day, you cannot truly mobilize people with simply money, right? You can't just fund an entire race and expect it to win. It really does take amount of spirit, of vigor, of political power and prowess to get people to come out and vote. And this is one of the hardest challenges that anyone that has worked in politics, especially campaign politics, will understand. There is not really an exact science to be had about how many doors you doorbell, how many calls you make, how many pamphlets you pass out. Yes, there is of course a certain amount of effort you could put into a specific race, and have it win or lose or regardless, whatever the case may be. To a degree, that it is a science, but at the end of the day, it really is just about your candidate. And there has been a lot of the zeitgeist, exactly, Mr. Pig. There has been a lot of blame being pushed on other entities, about why this exactly floundered the way it did, why Crawford was 9 points in the lead. Now, I know for a fact that there are, yes, you have the efforts of Elon Musk to put in a lot of money. There have been other organizations as well, like, for instance, Turning Point Action, which is the political arm of Turning Point, Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA. And they have put in a lot of effort into this race. They have been sending out, I know they've been sending out people from across the country to go and doorbell in Wisconsin for this race. And here's a post detailing this. Let me read this off to you guys. All gas, no brakes. The Wisconsin Supreme Court election is weeks away. This is a post from Turning Point Action's main Twitter account. And the TP Action team shows no signs of slowing down, flame emoji. Our hundreds, in all caps, of committed 100 activists are each committing to chase 100 plus ballots leading up to April 1st. Our legacy field representatives are hosting super chase events every day, mobilizing the community to chase ballots in key target areas. TP Action hosted the Turning Point Town Hall, Wisconsin, with special guest Donald Trump Jr., not Donald Trump, Donald Trump Jr., to rally the community to chase ballots. Our vast network of nationwide volunteers are writing postcards, calling voters, and sending texts to ensure that every Wisconsinite successfully submits their ballot in this election. There's no stopping now. Get the work to save Wisconsin. Here's another video showing how much passion and zeal they have to engage people to be a part of this effort. Let's watch this video together.
What can you do to help? We have hundreds of freedom-loving patriots in this room. What can you do? I want you all to pull out your phones right now. Show me your phones. Show me your phones right now. Okay. I want you to go on tpaction.com/100. That's our Commit 100 program. That program assigns you 100 conservative voters that you can send texts to, call, and if you're really feeling up to it, you can knock on their door and personally chase their ballot. These are 100 conservatives that voted for Trump in November and absolutely need to turn out and vote for Brad Schimmel in April.
Schimmel. That's how I pronounce it. Schimmel.
What can you do?
I think it's safe to say that, at least as far as this election is concerned, TP Action did not send their best. Now, listen. I guess Guy seems pretty passionate. He seems to really want people to go look at this app, whatever. He looks a little desperate to me. This is what I think had happened, you guys. Why is it that if this was such an important race, which it is, everyone with any political salt would know that this race was very, very important. I know Elon Musk is out there. Donald Trump's representatives went out there. So did Donald Trump Jr. But why didn't Donald Trump himself go out there? Perhaps Elon Musk and, Jr. didn't have what it took to mobilize the people of Wisconsin. Turning Point Action has put in a lot of effort, a lot of money, okay? And it's not just volunteers. They sent out a lot of employees to go and doorbell, and they still lost. I mean, look at this. They even sent out Scott Pressler, in fact. Do I have a video? Yeah. They even sent out Scott Pressler to do this. The Magic Pennsylvania Man. Let's listen to this video.
We are not... Hey everybody, this is Scott Pressler. We are here with Turning Point Action in Dane County, Wisconsin. We are not only going to the beautiful WOW counties in Waukesha, Ozaukee, and Washington, but we are bringing the peaceful fight even here to Madison and Dane County, and we are going to do everything in our power on April 1st to elect Brad Schimmel to the Wisconsin Supreme.
The mannerisms. That's right. Anyways, this is, so I looked on the Turning Point Action's Twitter page to see if they had any statement or acknowledged the loss. There was nothing, by the way, just so you guys know. But Charlie Kirk did make a post, so let's read it together. This is from Charlie Kirk. We did a lot in Wisconsin, but we fell short. We must realize and appreciate that we are the low prop party now. The party has been remade. Special elections and off-cycle elections will continue to be a problem without change of strategy. I would say that is correct. We are the party of welders, waiters, and plumbers. We are the party of people who work with their hands, who shower before and after work. Okay? Politics is an afterthought for many of our supporters. They have common sense and American values, but they are voters who must be chased. They must be pursued, you may even say. Democrats have become the college-indoctrinated, institutionalized, and government-dependent high-prop party. They live for politics. It is their religion. And they're more mobilized, is what he's saying. They're more informed, I think, is what he's saying here. I don't think this is the best rhetoric to go by, but okay. You may hate Donald Trump, but he resurrected a dead GOP back to life. This is true. I would agree with this. I mean, he was a polarizing figure, but at the end of the day, he did invigorate a great portion of conservative voters that weren't even involved with the Republican Party many years prior his initial run in 2016. But he didn't go to Wisconsin. Why didn't he fly over to Wisconsin and make a statement? Is it because he wanted to see how effective Turning Point Action and Turning Point USA and how effective Charlie Kirk and his organization really is? Did he want to see that, you know, how much of an effort they really put into helping Donald Trump win? Because they did the same strategy that they did here for Donald Trump during the presidential election nationwide. Did Donald Trump want to see what Turning Point and Charlie Kirk actually have to offer without he himself being there, is what I'm asking you today. Voters who were, I'm going to continue reading his post, voters who were on anyone's data rolls came out of the woodwork to vote for Donald Trump. Our movement, it's all dependent on Donald Trump. Our movement must begin to fully fund the infrastructure to match the Democrat machine. Our ideas are better. That's true. They're actually popular. Yes, true. But we need to match like for like. We need to out-organize the Democrats. That's what your guys' job is. We need to match their fundraising advantage. Yes. Let Wisconsin be a wake-up call. Let it be a call to return to the front lines. We won in November, but to save the Republican, we must string together multiple victories. That starts in 2026. Well, this is what your job is, Charlie Kirk. So that just goes to show that, at least for now, the conservative movement or the populist conservative movement doesn't rely on the shoulders of Charlie Kirk or Tyler Bauer or Turning Point Action or Turning Point USA or Scott Pressler. None of these efforts, it really is totally dependent, for the most part, on Donald Trump. And whether or not this is a bad thing or a good thing remains to be seen. But even Elon Musk with his cheese head hat wasn't enough to invigorate the people of Wisconsin to come out and vote. Let's see, what is this? This is the same video we watched. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments about this. But what I want to talk about next. Also, we're not receiving any donos, any comments, you guys. Let's pick it up, share and like the stream. I see only 2 likes, but we have 33 viewers on Rumble at least, even more so on Twitter. Like the stream, please. And also, while I'm out to get the next news story on tariffs, consider getting yourself a Cold Trauma mug with some Cold Trauma coffee found on the AP4 Liberty shop. If you do win a promo code by donating, you can get a certain % off when you purchase the Atomic Blonde coffee on the Cold Trauma shop found on ap4libertyshop.com. Once again, that is the letter A, the letter P, the number 4, libertyshop.com. And you can also get other cool trinkets like a Culturama logo pillow or a pillow of my dog, if you're so inclined to do that. A sweatshirt, mugs, cups, candles even. So get out there and vote with your wallets to support a podcast that you guys actually gives you decent news and decent news coverage. Thank you. Okay, we have $1 donation from Quest Fanning, simply with the letter N. Thank you so much, Quest Fanning. I highly appreciate that. The letter N. And $1 for the letter I. I think it's time to go to commercial break, everybody. I will be back. Thank you so much, Quest Fanning. Stay tuned, everyone. We're going to be talking about tariffs coming up.
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty's throng. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep, as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway, in the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
With a flagpole planted firm,
golden dreams that won't decay,
marching proudly through the day. In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains all, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive, in the light of freedom's sky. We got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
In the shadows they gather, with their banners raised high, a song of defiance echoes beneath the sky. They rise up in the night with passion burning bright.
Dancing to the radio, spinning round in the glow. Carried dreams on the wind to see our heroes begin. Which shout will they light the way, with courage shining bright today, holding hands through the fights and fears, together against the tide of years. Remember when the heart stood tall.
We stand for our rights, we won't back down. With fire in our hearts, we're taking the town. Against the shadows, we'll fight for our land. Together we rise, united we stand. With the beat of the drums, we'll chant and shout across the sweet door, say the hearts of the crowd. No room for whispers, for fear and regret. Well, I don't story, you ain't seen nothing yet. Well, freedom we cherish, we'll make the stands. We're ready up to fight it. Time for our dance.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Culturama, where on this show we are taking back tomorrow today. Thank you, everyone that has decided to show up. Tariffs. Very contentious issue right now. Trump has accelerated the rate of tariffs and our usage of it quite a bit, and it will be interesting to see how this affects the economy. Now, look, I'm not going to claim, before I jump into this story, I don't want to claim that I know a whole lot about like economics or international economy, or exactly how this works. I cannot predict how exactly how well this will go, and I'm not going to sit here and assert wholeheartedly 100% right now to you today that this is going to be all bad or all good. I cannot say that to you, but my gut tells me I'm a little nervous about it. Listen, I like what Donald Trump is doing. However, as far as this issue is concerned, I have been a bit critical of him, and I do hope I'm wrong. And going into this story, I just want to assert I really do hope I'm wrong. But it remains to be seen what exactly will happen. I see here as well, my sound effects, $5 from Fiery Waco. Thank you so much, Fiery Waco. And since you donated $5, the rule is $5 or more, you get to spin on the wheel. So let me read your donation off here first. You wrote, since we have universal tariffs now, does this mean we won't have to pay taxes next year? Yeah, I really hope so, Fiery Waco. Of course, Donald Trump has been talking about rescinding taxes. And of course, I do hope that is, or having and also having a really large tax returns. I'm still waiting for my tax return. I just filed my taxes. Very painful experience. But I mean, that would be nice. I don't know how realistic that is, but that would be nice. Wheel time, writes Quest Fanning. So let me get out the wheel here. Also, you guys, if you stick around for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to have to really push through the story because we do have an interview guest. Nick D'Agostino, I'll put up his socials, so you guys will want to stay around for that. He is a very interesting political strategist. Okay, where's my scene for the... Hold on a second. There we go. Okay, are you ready, Fiery Waco? You are the first donation to get the Wheel of Names. It's on wheelnames.com. The Unleash the Beast wheel. You can just see here, Leo is holding hands with the Doge dog. So let's go. What do we have here? Fiery Waco! Fiery Waco, you have won perhaps the most coveted part of this wheel. You have won yourself a promo code. I'm going to DM you the promo code here, Fiery Waco, in a minute. So thank you for participating. The very first individual to participate in the Culturama Spin the Wheel option here today. Thank you, everyone, for once again watching the stream here today. And thank you so much, Fiery Waco, for your very generous $5 donation. I'm going to be sending you that promo code here right now. Is my screen off? It sure is. And Fiery Waco, I already know your account, so I can just send it to you here in a moment. Let's see here. Actually, I'm going to be doing... I have only 10 minutes left. Fiery Waco, let me... I can either do this during break... Let me see if I can find your account here. Here we go. Let me just get this over with so I don't forget. Here we go. Fiery Waco, I am sending you the promo code right now. Okay, Fiery Waco, if you check your DMs, I have DM'd you the Culturama Collection promo code to get a good deal off of your next purchase on Culturama. Thank you so much for donating here today. I want the next tooth that Leo loses for experimentation. Oh, you don't want the promo code. Fiery Waco wants the tooth. Maybe I can ship you a tooth as well. I will need your P.O. box, however. Okay, tariff time, you guys. Let's get serious here. So let me read off this article for you. Happy Liberation Day, by the way, everyone. I know, it's the Hill. Don't roll your eyes too much. Thank you, of course, Fiery Waco. Thanks. I also need the secret Culturama handshake. After the break, Fiery Waco. I'll let you know after the break. Trump's Liberation Day tariffs. Here's how much countries are getting hit. Okay, let's go. President Trump on Wednesday announced that he was imposing reciprocal tariffs on dozens of nations. We have a whole list coming up here in a second. This one, we have this whole list the White House has tweeted out the other day. As you can see here, we have China. The China tariffs charged the USA a reciprocal tariff of 34%, 20%, and so forth. Look at this. 67, 39, 90%. 46% of Vietnam. So Vietnam was charging us, 90%? I'm going to have to look into this, but let's finish reading this article. Trump announced in the Rose Garden that all foreign countries would face a baseline 10% tariff, a baseline. all foreign countries would face a baseline of a 10% tariff, but several nations are being hit with steeper tariffs on imports. Trump said that these reciprocal tariffs will be calculated by combining the rate of tariff on and non-monetary barriers such as currency manipulation, and then dividing that in total in half. Canada and Mexico are still subject to a 25% tariff, with goods covered under the United States, Mexico, and Canada agreement exempted. The tariffs will not be a full reciprocal. I could have done that, I guess, sounds like Trump, but it would have been tough for a lot of countries, said Trump. These tariffs are going to set in place at midnight, so they already have at this point. And Laos, 48%, Madagascar, 47%, Vietnam, 46% tariff. You guys, these are pretty steep. And this is the first time, I think, in our lifetimes that a president has ever done this before and has actually followed through on their promises. I just don't know how this exactly will look like for us in the long term. So here we go. White House has tweeted this in all caps, of course. Liberation Day reciprocal tariffs. Here we go, you guys. Are you ready? Look at this. So this is all the tariffs. Taiwan. Hold on. So USA discounted reciprocal tariffs. So in the yellow, this is what we are charging them, right? Now, as far as countries are actually conceding, as far as I know, Israel down here has already pulled back on their tariffs. So we are awaiting Canada to do the same. But it remains to be seen what other countries will do. We also have a $5 donation from Nelson65. Thank you so much, Nelson. Nelson, you wrote, I keep hearing how the country ran off tariffs for almost 100 years without an income tax. So what has changed? The tariffs are so bad. I keep hearing how the country ran off tariffs almost without an income tax. Yeah, you know what, Nelson65, that's a very good question. Tariffs are getting worse and worse, and I think it's simply because of the United States just haven't taken it seriously up until now, and that truly does seem to be the case. And I think, like I just mentioned, is that Donald Trump seems to be the first, in our lifetimes at least, as far as I'm aware, that has taken this issue seriously enough to push back and impose actual reciprocal tariffs. Also, Nelson65, since you now have donated $5, you know what that means. That means that you get to go on, use the wheel. All right, let's spin the wheel here. Where is it? I lost my wheel. Here it is. Okay, Nelson65, are you ready? Let's spin the wheel. Nelson65, you want me to read philosophy. I'm so sorry to land the promo code. I need to get my Evola book out now, you guys. Let me see. Do I have it down here? Hold on a second. No, the Evola book is in my room. Nelson65? Hold on, let me read you Schopenhauer instead here. I'm going to read off a book from my philosophy section right back here, my little philosophy library. Okay, I have two versions of, I actually have Schopenhauer with me. Evola is in the back in my room, but I'm not going to leave right now. Nelson65, you won a passage of philosophy. Let me read it out to you and interpret it here live for you all today. Let me see if I can find a good section for you guys. I'm going to read from the second volume of Schopenhauer's The World as Will and Representation. This is a very foundational work as far as my personal philosophy is concerned. And I'm going to read from Volume 2. I do believe Volume 2 is better. That's my personal opinion. Let me see if I can find a good section for you here today, Nelson65. Let me see where I have it's bookmarked. And then I'm going to have to bring in my guest here, my special guest. Here we go. Are you guys ready for this passage from Schopenhauer? Thank you so much, TMill22, for joining the chat. Okay, so Nelson65. Hold on a second. Okay. Should I even read this? I don't even know if I should read this section. Oh my gosh. I landed on a very questionable section here. I mean, I do like this book, but I don't know if I should read this part. Okay, well, let's... This is from Schopenhauer's The Will's Representation. In this section, if I am not mistaken, he is talking about how people each develop according to what they get from the mom and what they get from the dad. Now, I don't know if you guys ever heard of this theory, but the main theory is, I believe it has come from Schopenhauer himself, where people say that the individual will obtain their intellect from their mom and their physical stature and so forth, and their temperament from their dad. Now, Schopenhauer did talk about this, and I'm going to read this here for you. The condition, this is a quote from Schopenhauer, this condition of genius coming from the father explains many of the temperamental defects of genius have previously described. On the one hand, if this condition is present without the former, and so with an ordinary or even badly constituted brain, it gives vivacity without the mind, heat without light. It produces madcaps, persons of insufferable restlessness and petulance. Of two brothers, one has genius, and then often the elder, as was the case, for example, with Kant. So he's calling out Kant here, Immanuel Kant as well. I have still to add here a special remark on the childlike character of genius, on a certain resemblance between genius and the age of childhood. Thus, in childhood, as in the case of genius, the cerebral, nervous system are decidedly predominant, for their development hurries far in advance of that the rest of the organism, so that even by the 7th year, the brain has attained its full extension and mass. Okay, so Schopenhauer was a big believer on basically this idea, and this actually goes very well with the concept of eugenics, actually, is that it really does matter, Nelson65, since you donated, I'm speaking here to you here today, it really does matter who your parents are, because obviously you are going to obtain not only the physical features of the people that have bred you, but also it's going to be the temperamental, obviously, which, exudes from the nervous system. And so if your nervous system, if you have a parent that doesn't have a really healthy nervous system, isn't very temperamentally stable, doesn't even have a certain level of ambition or genius, and by genius, Schopenhauer actually means spirit, but is suffering in that, their children are also, the children that they beget are not going to have the same level or a better temperament. It all comes down to you. And if you want to bring other souls into this world, you have to really be conscious of what you're doing here. And you have to be aware of the temperaments that you are creating. Okay, you guys, I have already went through all of my time here reading philosophy to Nelson65. Thank you so much, Nelson65, for donating the $5. I'm just testing this out. Also, you guys, if you have better options for Spin the Wheel, please let me know. As long as it's appropriate. I struggled very hard to find topics to put on the wheel that are appropriate. So please let me know in the comments if you have a better idea. But that was reading philosophy and having me explain philosophy to you here today on this Spin the Wheel option. You guys, we have hit our time limit. I'm going to bring in my special guest. Everyone, stay tuned. I'm going to play your guys' favorite commercial while I pull them into the waiting room for Radioactive Exclusion Zone segment, where I interview guests from around the internet. So guys, stay tuned. I'm going to bring him in. He is a political strategist. It's going to be really interesting. I'm going to be asking him questions about very pertinent political topics that I've been speaking about here, including the tariffs, including the Wisconsin race. So please stay tuned, and I will be pulling him in here, everybody. Thank you so much.
Well, here comes Anita like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben and Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hayford doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers, stop scrolling, because if you're tired of the same old news, then I've got just the wake-up call for you. I want to thank you for tuning in to Culturama, and I know that you're enjoying every minute of it. Join us at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. The Wake Up America show is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great way to start your day. Coffee's optional, but waking up is mandatory. Remember, at Wake Up America, we'll keep you sharp, we'll keep you laughing, most of all, we'll keep you free. I'll see you in the morning.
Well, here comes Anita like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual.
Welcome to the Radioactive Exclusion Zone. I have here with me today Nick D'Agostino. Did I pronounce that correctly, Nick?
You did. I'm very impressed.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nick, so much for joining us today here on Culturama. People are really excited to watch you. You describe yourself on Twitter as like a political strategist. Of course, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your experience there, and also some of your opinions with your political acumen. To give us an analysis about what has been going on right now in the United States with the Trump tariff situation, the Wisconsin Supreme Court race, and so forth. But before I get into all of that, Nick, I just want to ask you, tell us a little bit about your life story and what got you into politics.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me on your show, Daniela. So I got into politics pretty recently, but it all started in 1989. My twin brother Anthony and I were born, and around 18 months old, my parents noticed that we were struggling to meet milestones, walking and getting up and being able to move on our own. So we got a test done, and actually I just got a biopsy because we're 99.9% identical. And to your viewers, don't worry, I made sure that our fingerprints are different in case he ever does something wrong or vice versa. But
figured that out.
So we were diagnosed with a disease called spinal muscular atrophy, which is a muscular dystrophy. It's a neuromuscular disease. Basically, our muscles don't get the right impulses from our brain to grow. Thankfully for us, it only affects voluntary muscles and not involuntary. So our hearts are fine, our brains are fine. It's just kind of like our legs or our arms, our necks, that kind of thing. We walked till we were 6, and then I like to say I ate too many cookies to carry my own weight. We were put into power wheelchairs, and I remember that because we were playing video games, and I know you like video games too, which I'm super excited about. And they put us on like 1 mile per hour, and I was like trying to navigate around the house, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to crash. Make it faster. And so they did, and it's kind of a blessing that we were diagnosed so young because we grew up with it, and our friends grew up with it. And to them, it's normal. To us, it's normal. With spinal muscular atrophy, some people don't get diagnosed till they're 19, 20 years old. And as you can imagine, at that point, you could be an athlete going to a Division I college or what have you, and it really impacts your life. So, we were in wheelchairs at age 8. We had severe scoliosis, so we had stainless steel rods put in our spine. So when people try to argue with me, I tell them that my spine is literally made of steel. Wow. we had staph infections after that, actually. So that summer of 1998, I had the spine surgery, which was 8.5 hours long. I remember waking up and not even being able to move my fingers because I was so weak, and had 3 more surgeries from the infection and antibiotic all summer. And these kind of life things, you can't really. I was just talking to my wife Brila the other day. I kind of look at life like a decision making video game in a way. It's like God knows the God knows the ending, God knows the story, but you can choose which path you want to go, how you react to certain situations, and kind of always told ourselves that we could be a source of pity
Yeah.
or a source of inspiration. And, we chose the latter, and went through normal school, went through normal college. I became a motivational speaker in my early 20s, and went and did a conference in California. So that's interesting, flying with a wheelchair too. I honestly probably won't do it until they figure that out again. But that got me into politics because we went to California. The state is beautiful. The people are questionable.
Right.
And my wife was like, "Oh, this is really beautiful. We should think about moving out west." And I was like, "No, I like New Jersey. I like my hometown." And then I started to ask myself, what do I do for my hometown? Like, how do I get involved? So I started going to Board of Education meetings, and I interviewed for a vacancy, and that took like 2 months because it was a split vote. I ended up losing 5-4, and then I ran again. I lost by 7 votes. It was 795 to 788, and I kind of felt like this is God telling me, like, you're meant to be in this realm, but you're not meant to be in this position. Otherwise I would have gotten blown out. And so then I ended up running for a K-8 district. I got elected. I was on the school board for 7 years till I recently moved. I was elected the president after my second year, and held that position. And then I got involved in the local Republican Party. I was the state committeeman here in Sussex County, New Jersey. I was the chair of the Young Republicans. I ran for a couple county offices, municipal offices, but as you probably follow me, I can be a little opinionated. So it's hard to navigate the politics, and I'm not really one to have somebody backstab me or trash my family and then shake hands the next day after the election.
Yeah.
So that's become kind of I'm involved with the Skylands Tea Party now, which is a movement here in New Jersey, which is really constitutional conservatism, and we worry about issues and not personalities, and not scratching each other's backs. We're loyal to principles and not people.
Well, that's that's how it should
that's
be,
kind of-
honestly. And a lot of, especially the GOP in general, it seems like it's more or less failing. Sometimes it isn't, sometimes it is. And that's kind of what I was talking about with people here in the stream today about the GOP and their activity in Wisconsin. Leading up to my next question, but before I do that, I do want to say your story is very inspiring, and it is really good to see that regardless of external circumstances, people that do want to benefit and better their communities in any way that they can is a driving force, and it should remain as a driving force for a lot of people. It shouldn't be really anything else, no matter your external situation. It is helping your community, and that's really inspiring, and thank you for what you have been doing for New Jersey. But I did want to lead into the next question, and that has to do with the Wisconsin race. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with that particular state, but I'm assuming you're aware of that topic in general. And I did want to ask you, since you have worked with the GOP from where you are, I'm familiar. I worked with the Young Republicans here in Washington State, where I live, with the state party as well. So let me know what your personal opinion is on what happened in Wisconsin. Do you think it's purely just the state party that failed? Do you think there's a greater network that contributed to this that failed? But what is your take on this race?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were two main issues driving the election in Wisconsin. I do think it was largely the issue of abortion. I think that they're looking to gerrymander the districts there and, get a congressional advantage in Wisconsin. But, I think I know it was a lot of money. It was the most money ever spent in a Supreme Court, race. And I think over $100 million it ended up being, or close to, but I know that Trump won Wisconsin, and we lost the Supreme Court election. Judges are supposed to be nonpartisan, but we all know that Schimmel was the conservative option, and to be honest with you, I'm going to blame abortion because I think we celebrate death and we don't celebrate life in our culture, and it's society is so selfish that they would rather murder unborn children than have a good their constitutional rights, or nothing else matters as long as they say it's health care, which I don't believe, and they'll vote accordingly. And that kind of one issue voting is going to destroy our republic, eventually, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely. I've read a couple articles on stream here today, and they have also mentioned that abortion seems to have been, if not one of the deciding factors of that race. And it is very concerning to see that. Do you think that abortion played a pretty big part in the last presidential election? Because that was my prediction and my read of it. At the end of the day, I think, though, people ultimately wanted Trump. Even though Trump's stance on abortion, I think, was strategic, it was a bit soft. But people were more aware, or they wanted more answers in terms of the economy and immigration. So ultimately, he won. But how much do you think that the issue of abortion did lead into how far Kamala got in the previous election?
I think that abortion plays nationally, but I think that like you said, the economy, especially the illegal immigration, is so out of control. And in my opinion, we've seen some deportations in the beginning of President Trump's term here, but at this pace, we're not going to even scratch the surface of the amount of illegal aliens. I know I'm not allowed to say that. I'm sure you won't ban me on your show because you're pro free speech.
Not in culture.
But I think that was a driving factor. The economy. I think certainly the fact that President Trump survived that assassination attempt. I think a lot of Christians, and I think President Trump himself said, that God wants me here. God wants me here for a reason. And I think there was a kind of underlying theme of this is what's meant to be for America, is another Trump term. But it was certainly a mandate, and I hope he follows through with it. I agree he was weak on abortion. That is an issue that I have with politics in general. A lot of people argue with me about it, and it's not it's hard for me to wrap my head around morally, that they're like, oh, they pretend to be pro-choice or more pro-choice so they can win, and then when they get in, they're more pro-life. And I always say, I want to vote based off of what you're saying. And they're like, well, if you can't win, you can't help. But I don't agree that unborn children should be used as political pawns, really. And I've said that. And I'm 100% pro-life. I think all abortion, quite frankly, should be banned in the life of a mother. You can do a C-section. If the baby doesn't survive, it's a tragedy. you can induce labor, and if you do have to do quote unquote an abortion, I kind of look at it as a life-saving procedure to save the mother if that's what is decided. But I don't see any argument for abortion at
I
all.
see. Yeah. Yeah, I do agree. I think that abortion was a pretty much, at least for a certain contingent of Americans, especially for, that young liberal Democrat, white female vote, it was a good chunk that we had lost, but at the end of the day, it didn't seem to be enough to help Kamala get through. Also, there was just a lot of factors involved in that last election. I mean, Kamala Harris didn't even deserve to be the main contender anyway. There was I think a lot of people in the Democrat Party just got completely disenchanted with the process of how they got Kamala up there. But kind of to change the course here in the conversation. Well, before you got on, I had to cut the last conversation short. We were talking about tariffs here and the Trump tariffs. And listen, I'm not an expert on this. I say on stream, I'm a bit concerned about it, about the tariffs that the White House had pushed out yesterday. Now, a lot of people are saying to trust the plan, that this is the first time this has happened in history, in our histories at least. We don't exactly know where this is going. This could be very good for us. What do you think about this situation? What is your take on the tariff situation? Do you think this is a good move on Trump? And if so, please help convince me that it is a good move. If not, If not, maybe we can agree together. But what is your take on the tariff situation?
I don't think it's a good move. I'm a free market guy.
Okay.
However, I also know that there's nothing we could do to change what's happening. The reality of the situation is, so we have to hope for the best. Long-term tariffs, permanent tariffs, obviously, are any tariffs, I think, are bad. But this hopefully is just kind of like, we could flex our muscles too situation. And if what comes out of it is other countries, as some are, dropping their tariffs on our imported goods, and then we drop our tariffs again, we could say in hindsight, I guess it worked, but it's certainly a gamble because you risk retaliation from countries.
Yeah.
It becomes a pissing match of tariffs. It's certainly government getting involved in the private sector and government overreach. I mean, you could have, a corrupt government working with special interest groups, trying to help certain industries grow, to line their own pockets by this. It doesn't need to always be for the American people.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case in this situation. I think Trump's heart is good, but I think competition is best, and people should make products that they're experts at, and certain places in the world are better at making certain things, and that should inspire us to try to make them better. But that's the answer: is competition, not tariffs. I don't think. I'm a little worried. I'm with you.
Yeah, exactly. I really hope that you and I are wrong here, because I do hear the other side and saying, especially as far as like American competition is concerned, because I'm with you there. I think that, we should be able to compete and rely on the free market systems that we do have in place already. But there is still that contingent of conservatives that say, we should have a more America first position on these things. And I can understand that argument as well. But it's just that the long-term effects of this, I'm worried about. I do agree that I think Trump's heart, so to speak, is in the right place, right? And I do understand exactly how he's posturing himself and saying that he is trying to take a more America first approach and perspective. We have seen this initially in his position when he first started in January, where he is like trying to, or at least he's posturing himself as being more American expansionist by talking about Panama, or the Panama Canal, and also Greenland. So like he is posturing in a very strong way, in a very America first way, and I like that. I am a nationalist, but also there are undue effects that could happen from this that I am worried about. But I'm not gonna doom doom spiral about this. I really think that maybe I'm wrong, maybe we're wrong, and hopefully we are, because a lot of people, especially my generation, are just starting our lives, and I don't want to have another, economic drift happen as this is occurring. But anyway, I want to ask you just last question here regarding your personal political involvement. You said that you wanted to get more involved locally, and I'm assuming you found that extremely rewarding based on how you described it. And I'm like I said, thank you for doing that, because not enough people are doing that anywhere. I live in Washington State, and it seems to be the case that a lot of conservatives are getting involved as much as they could. And I know there are conservative people in Washington State. Very conservative, in fact. So I'm aware of that. But perhaps they believe that the systems that are in place are not as helpful to them. Maybe they feel like the party is bought off, it's not as effective. Have you ran into any major roadblocks in the way in getting involved politically that you had to overcome with the party or with the people involved? Or how did that exactly work for you?
Absolutely. I mean, well, first thing in politics is, is it your turn? And way too many of the old guard, and I'm sure both parties think, you need to stack chairs, which is obviously difficult for me.
Right.
You need to clean up after events or do this or, knock doors for 10 years before you're allowed to run for office. And the reality of the situation is, our founding fathers were extremely young, and if you have good ideas and the perseverance to follow through and the principles to follow through, anyone should be able to run for office. And what I see here locally in New Jersey are old sort of establishment politicians that like to surround themselves with useful idiots and dumber people, because if they surround themselves with people that are intelligent, then they risk losing power or people kind of rebelling against their status quo. And it's a big problem. I also think that the conservative quote unquote movement here, I mean, my county's pretty conservative. We're one of the red counties in New Jersey, probably the most conservative other than maybe Ocean County. Is people are afraid. And so we have an issue in my county where our county GOP is funded by a union that primarily, so they got about $100,000 last year, the county, and 40,000 came from a union that endorsed Joe Biden, endorsed Kamala Harris, endorsed Phil Murphy, and they're saying, well, oh, they give us the money. And I said, oh, well, I don't want to take money from people that, support people who murder unborn children and let rapists and criminals across the southern border. Like, I don't think that's the approach we need to take. It doesn't matter if it makes it easier. The road to success is not always easy.
Yeah.
So those are, some of the main blocks, but I think I kind of look at it like a game of tug of war. I think that overall, the left it's a battle of good versus evil. And right now the left is super far left, and they're starting with the rope way on the left, all the way. And the right side is our side, so to speak, is starting more in the middle to a centrist thing. And they're like, oh, maybe they'll be nice if we play ball. Maybe they'll stop, doing all this stuff, and they'll come back to common sense if we start in the middle. But how do you win a game of tug of war if you're starting at a disadvantage right from the beginning? Right. So, I think we need to share our ideas. They need to share theirs, and let the people who are undecided fall where they may. And, then whatever happens is God's will.
Beautifully put. I totally agree. And yes, I very much agree with that. It's part where you talked about the old guard. I thought it was just where I live. And I don't want to talk badly about the state party here too much, but I thought that was simply my experience when I was getting involved, but it seems to be every other state or people that I talked with. that was involved in GOP politics. It's the same thing, right? And it's that older generation that's just holding on to the clutch. They're clutching onto the power or whatever little power they have statewide or even countywide. And they're just afraid of that transitionary period that is honestly requisite, or it's required if the GOP wants to survive. And it hasn't done that, or at least not in large part. And that's why we have organizations like Turning Point Action, for instance, trying to come in and replace them essentially. But apparently they weren't effective enough to change the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. So that remains to be seen as well. But Nick, we are reaching our time limit here. I still have a lot more to discuss here on the show. But I do want to thank you so much for coming on my show. I love your stuff on Twitter. Of course, I'm going to have your Twitter up for everyone to see afterwards. Is there anywhere else people can find you, just in case, for my viewers here today?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Facebook, X. I heard you call it Twitter. Elon's not going to be happy with me, but X, yeah. And it's all at Real Nick Daggs. Yeah, my website is nickdaggs.com. That's kind of more motivational speaking, and I wrote a lot of poetry in my younger years. So I have
wonderful.
a book of poetry on there, but other than that, I'm mostly on X, just kind of clashing with the left.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I will I'll pull up your website here after the commercial break here as well. Nick, I want to thank you so much for coming on. We're going to be back going once again, guys, on commercial break. When we come back, we still have a lot more to talk about. And before the Liberty Tonight show shows up after Culturama, everyone, thank Nick for coming on. Thank you so much, Nick. And we will keep in touch.
Thank you for having me, Daniela.
Of course.
Sounds good.
Of course. Thank you.
Well, here comes Daniela like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah. Who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer.
Okay, I'm going to cut that commercial off short here, but my guest just left. Everyone, what did you think about that? Truly an inspiring figure. I followed Nick for quite some time on Twitter, and I wanted to treat you guys to him and what he had to say and his political experience, and I thought that would have been really good for the show and pretty helpful for you guys, especially for those that want to get involved politically locally as well, because you know what they say, if you want to get in politics, always start in your own backyard, and that is something that Nick has demonstrated quite a bit. Let me pull up his social media here for you guys to take a look into. If you want to follow him, there it is, everybody. This is Nick D'Agostino, the founder, creator of Big Nick Energy, by the way, as you can see by the banner. What do you guys think of that name, Big Nick Energy? And that is actually the name of his Substack, I believe. So if you click on this bio, he still has... Oh, what is going on with... Oh my goodness, am I having... Oh my goodness, the paint. There we go. That was weird. You click on the link here, bignickenergy.club, and it goes into his Substack right here. And so he's going to write more articles soon, everyone. But subscribe to him before he blows up. That's certainly something I would recommend you looking into, especially if you want to, enjoy some of his political wisdom here. So there you go. There's Nick D'Agostino. It is at Real Nick Dags right there. Once again, that is at Real Nick Dags for everyone watching here today. And I want to thank Nick for coming on the stream today, on the Culturama stream for the Culturama cultists. All right, everyone, please like the stream. I only see a couple likes on there, so let's get those numbers up. For the last few moments we have on stream, I have to cut it short at my time, 7 p.m. for the last 20 minutes here because we have the Liberty Tonight show. You guys don't want to miss that show. But in the meantime, I was talking about tariffs, but you know what? I do want to get onto my next topic. So, because this one's kind of spicy, and I think it's important. It's going to be a little sad, you guys. But hopefully we'll end on a good note here. Okay, there we go. So I don't know if anyone has been paying attention to the news today, but this has blown up on Twitter, and I thought it would be pertinent for all of us watching today, and pertinent politically to talk about. It is unfortunate circumstance, but it is important. So this teen was killed by the one on the bottom here, okay? And like I said, it's a sad situation, but it must be discussed. There was a lot of discourse about how the father reacted. Let's read about this. A 17-year-old 4.0 student stabbed in the heart at a high school track at an event in Texas dies in his twin brother's arms. It's horrifying. Austin Metcalf was attacked after telling a teen from a different school that he was sitting in the wrong spot. That's all he said. Carmelo Anthony has been arrested and charged with first-degree murder. That's the guy on the bottom there. Just days ago, Metcalf shared a post on X where he said, faith that God got me and my work will pay off. He was a Christian. There was a confrontation that was started when the suspect was told he was sitting in the wrong spot, reported NBC5. Metcalf reportedly didn't know the teen who stabbed him. They were twins. They were identical twins, and his brother was holding him while his brother was bleeding to death. He was rushed to the emergency, but he wasn't breathing. He had passed away at that point. Once again, Austin had a 4.0 GPA, and he was the MVP of his football team. Obviously a very smart guy, very ambitious. He had a whole future ahead of him, and this happened. Very unfortunate circumstance. But what really got people to tune into this story was the father's reaction. Let's listen.
He died in his brother's arms. They were twins. The sad part about it is he died in his brother's arms. They were twins, identical twins. And his brother was holding on to him, trying to make it stop bleeding. And he died in his brother's arms. And I rushed up there, and I saw him on the gurney. And I could tell. They said he wasn't breathing. I could see all the blood. I saw where the wound was.
Understandably still in shock, Jeff Metcalf says a precious memory was made just this past weekend when he took his twin boys hunting. That's where Austin got his first hog. Well, this morning at around 10, he rushed here to Kirkendall Stadium where the Memorial High School student athlete suffered a fatal stab wound during this track and field meet. Frisco police say a fight broke out between two students when one stabbed the other. More than 100 student athletes were participating in this meet. Fortunately, they were safely evacuated. Police arrested the suspect. He is 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony of Frisco. He is now charged with murder. Some students, unfortunately, witnessed this deadly encounter and have been interviewed by police. Despite life-saving efforts, the 16-year-old victim died at the hospital. Austin, his father shares, was born 2 minutes before his twin brother Hunter. The two inseparable, as you can imagine. Austin is being remembered as an outstanding student at Memorial High, his football team's MVP, and a young man.
Let's skip over to what the dad says here. Hold on.
His father grappling with loss and forgiveness.
I'm not trying to judge, but
Pay attention.
what was he taught? He brought a knife to a track meet, and he murdered my son by stabbing him in the heart.
Yeah.
The guy was in the wrong place. They asked him to move, and he bowed up. This is murder. I don't know. I know they have someone in custody. And you know what? How do you forgive this person?
Yikes. Okay, so
Take care of things. God's going to take care of me. God's going to take care of my family.
So this is why people are talking about here, is that at the end of this video, this father came up, saying all the right stuff. Where's this kid's parents? This is an act of murder. It's a heinous crime. His son was just taken away from him, and not a day later, he said that he has already forgiven this man. Now, a lot of people have been saying that this is the result of what I'm about to read here, but the community relations service probably getting involved. And for those that don't know, let me just read this off to you. This is Raw Egg Nationalist responding to the Metcalf's murder and his father's response to it. But he said, if the DOJ's community relations service is involved in this, Pam Bondi needs to get on it ASAP. The CRS, or the Community Relations Service, exists solely to hide the true nature of anti-white violent crime in the U.S. If people like Austin Metcalf's father sound like they are reading a script, that means they are. So what the CRS really is that it's community relations, right? It's trying to facilitate a positive relations. That they call themselves America's peacemakers, where when a particular crime happens, and there seems to be in many cases, you have one ethnicity getting involved and a different ethnicity getting involved. You have different ethnicities, different races. There could be potential conflict here for the public. And so what these people do is that they swoop in and they try to ameliorate the potential conflicts that would ensue from this publicly. It tries to ameliorate the public's perception of the crime. And that is what people are saying has happened with this father, is that he's come out and he's just said that he's already forgiven the killer of his son, not even a day later. And I want you to think about this. I mean, you have a child here that was taken away from you, and you already forgive the perpetrator. Now, this is what I read from him. Obviously his son was a devout Christian. He posted about his faith in God. This man talks about being involved in church. There's another video here we can listen to. But what this sounds like to me, and I hope this is the case, is that this is just a Christian trying to cope. A very, devout Christian who continually goes to church and is thinking in these terms. And that forgiveness is obviously, if you're a Christian, you know this, a very major part of one's salvation and of the Christian lifestyle when you're involved in these communities. And what I think personally is happening is that this father, trying to take the high ground, is claiming that he has already forgiven the killer of his son, so he can feel peace within himself, because obviously he's not in a very good state right now, mentally and emotionally. And even though he may not truly have forgiven the man, he's still going to state it publicly that the man who's killed him, he's already forgiven. But once again, considering the history of the CRS getting involved in these things and basically inhibiting or stopping what they feel like they can say is a problem. And that's what I want to talk about here today. Let's listen to this video right here as well.
I want to clarify something right off the start, because I've already heard some rumors and gossip. This was not a race thing. This is not a political thing. Please do not comment if you do not know what happened. Do not turn this into a racial thing. It was not. Do not politicize this. It's not. This is a human being thing.
Yeah, okay. So
Bad choice. And it affected both his family and my family forever.
Yeah, so this is what I mean, and this is why people like Raw Egg Nationalist or this Captive Dreamer account are talking about it. It's like, why is he going out of his way to state this, right? I really do think that the forgiveness angle of it in the last video we watched, I really do think he's speaking from a place of faith. And, you know, as a Christian myself, I can understand that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with... It's hard. I don't understand how you could be super vengeful about it, but, you know, good on him, I guess, for forgiving that man. But then you have a clip like this where clearly it is coming off as scripted, right, guys? I mean, it's not just me, right? This does seem weirdly scripted, right? Nelson65 says my volume is low. I'm so sorry, Nelson65. Let me see if I can fix that for you. Let me see if that's better. Is that better? There we go. Anyways, this does seem weirdly scripted to me. Let's watch it again. He wants to clarify. It's not a race thing.
Right off the start, because I've already heard some rumors and gossip. This was not a race thing. This is not a political thing. Please do not comment if you do not know what happened. Do not turn this into a racial thing. It was not. Do not politicize this.
He's pleading. His eyes are closed.
It's a human being thing. This person made a bad choice. And it affected both his family and my family forever.
Yeah. So anyways, let's read a little bit more on what the Community Relations Service does, shall we? Navigating Conflicts, a guide for campus leaders and public safety personnel. This is on their website. The CRS releases new educational program to counter anti-Semitism. Okay. For over 60 years, the CRS has been, quote, America's peacemaker. CRS responds to communities experiencing conflict and violence to help restore peaceful relations. Guided by federal laws establishing jurisdiction, CRS assists communities through facilitated dialogue, meditation. If your son was killed, would you want to undergo periods of meditation? If they were killed by a certain demographic that is deemed as us unable to discuss and to recognize, would you want to undergo sensitivity training while dealing with the fact and contending with the fact that your family member was just taken from you? They undergo facilitated dialogue, meditation, training, and consultation to overcome differences and build the skills needed to prevent future disputes. All CRS services are confidential and provided free of charge to the communities that voluntarily request or accept CRS's assistance. CRS is not an investigatory or prosecutorial agency, so they're basically meaningless in cases of crime like this. They really have no jurisdiction over the investigation or anything to do with this. They're just here to facilitate dialogue. And has no law enforcement authority. Once again, I reiterate, useless. CRS works with all parties to develop solutions to conflict and serves as a neutral, impartial party. Okay, so if your kid was killed by a specific demographic and it's politically incorrect to say that, CRS will swoop in and say, hey, wait a second. Look, I get that your kid was just killed, but listen to me for a second. This is a human thing. Let's not profile anyone. And look, I understand that at the end of the day, it all comes to the individual committing a crime. It's that individual's issue. What the individual has done is not reflective of what the entire demographic of people they're from. Obviously men are more inclined to commit violent crimes than women are. That is not representative of all men if one man does it, obviously. However, I think it still behooves us to recognize that there are certain groups of people that commit more crimes. And it's natural to do so. When you have a person that commits a crime, you have to describe that person to the police. You have to describe the perpetrator of that crime. And what organizations like the CRS does is that they facilitate dialogue like this, where it's trying to erase even the entire broader concept of recognition. And that's a problem, I think. Now, I understand some uses of it, perhaps. Obviously, you are going to get people that probably go off the rails. about some things, especially when you have violence involved. Criminal acts. Obviously, people are going to get emotional about it. People are going to act racist. So I understand the uses of this, but I think this impartial party of the CRS is doing more harm than good right now. And Fiery Waco, I see your comment. You wrote, which black actor will be playing the victim in the Netflix adaptation? That's a very interesting thing that you mentioned this. Because I did actually want to talk about Adolescence as well. For those that know, Adolescence is a Netflix series that is actually about a real life case where there was a black perpetrator and they got a white boy to play him. Okay? Just so you guys know. Adolescence. Hold on, let me look it up for you guys. Because I know I mentioned this a couple streams ago. Not everyone's going to know what I'm talking about. Okay, so Adolescence, it's a TV series. It's Netflix. It's about a boy that I think it was a murder. It's based on a true story. As you can see in the images here. This boy, the guy that he's portraying is based off of a real life person. But the real life person was black. Okay? He was black and they got a white boy to play him. And so obviously this has raised a lot of questions about like, what is Netflix doing? Interesting how when it comes to Anne Boleyn or a Viking, they're going to get a black person to play them. Okay, fine. Why do they swap the races with only bad actual criminals? So that's what Adolescence is for those that don't know. And what I've come to find out actually is that the production company behind Adolescence has received direct funding from Channel 4, a state-owned broadcasting company, and the UK Global Screen Fund, which is a government grant. So this is actually state-backed propaganda. Here's a picture of the article here. Channel 4's Indie Growth Fund invests in Warp Films, Stephen Woolley and Elizabeth Carlson's Number 9 Films, Sheffield-based production firm Warp Films, and Michael Goodrich's Good Chaos are among 25 companies to receive a total of $2.1 million in the latest awards from the UK Global Screen Fund. Okay, so once again, for those that aren't aware, whoops, where did it go? There we go. For those that aren't aware of what's going on here, Adolescence, this show that is depicting a black criminal as a white boy, is actually government propaganda. Who would have guessed, right? Let's go on the Wikipedia page. Adolescence is a British crime drama television miniseries created by Jack Thorne and Stephen Graham and directed by Philip Barantini. It centers on a 13-year-old schoolboy named Jamie Miller, who was arrested for the murder of a girl in his school. Each of its 4 episodes was shot in one continuous take. I wonder if it's going to say it's based off of a true story. Does it say that in here? I see the word incel on here. The miniseries premiered on Netflix on the 13th of March of this year, drew critical acclaim. Adolescence was the first streaming show to place in the top Barb audiences weekly television. Where does it mention that it's based on a true story? Really? Does it not say that? Reception, political impact. Adolescence has been widely praised by critics. Okay. According to The Guardian, the show highlights the ways in which the manosphere has affected adolescent boys, directly naming Andrew Tate and the Red Pill. Community has key influences of Jamie and other boys his age. Interesting. In March of 2025, businessman and Trump administration advisor Elon Musk promoted a conspiracy theory on X that shows it's anti-white propaganda. Yeah, Wikipedia is going fully saying that it's completely conspiracy theory. It's all white anti-white propaganda. It's not real. Owing to the casting of a white actor to portray Jamie. Yeah. Hold on a second. So I just want to get this straight. I know we only have 5 minutes left on this. So Jamie Miller... If you look up Jamie Miller, Yeah, this is about the killing and the stabbing of Brianna Gay. No? Wait a second. Where is the they've completely like scrubbed everything from the Wikipedia page. So anyway, back on the political, it was based on the Southport murder of 2024, writes Mr. Pig. Is that what I'm, because I can't remember the name of the actual case. Oh wait, it's on the Wikipedia page. I'm so stupid. It's right here. It was literally a sentence after. My mistake. The theory alleged that this show was based on the 2024 Southport stabbings and that depicting the perpetrator was white was an intentional choice to demonize white people. However, co-author Jack Thorne called the claim ridiculous and stated the television series was not based on any real life. So they're claiming that it has nothing to do with this case, but the 2024 Southport stabbings, Atomic Blonde moment, wrote Bruiser 55. Yeah, I know, right? Atomic Blonde moment. Everyone buy your coffee. On 29th of July of last year, 2024, a mass stabbing targeting young girls occurred at the Heart Space, a dance studio at the Melos Cop area of Southport, United Kingdom. 17-year-old Axel, I can't pronounce this name. Axel Ruda Cubana killed 3 children and injured others at a Taylor Swift themed yoga and dance workshop attended by 26 children. The day after the attack, rioters clashed with police in Southport and damaged a mosque. After misinformation about the attacker's identity, which could have not been publicly released, which was not being publicly released, I wonder why, was spread online. Over the next few days, protests and riots spread nationwide. Ruda Cubana was arrested at the scene and charged with 3 counts of murder, 10 counts of attempted murder, and possession of a belated article. He was later separately charged with under the Biological Weapons Act of 1974 and the Terrorism Act of 2000. There was no motive for the stabbings were identified. The prosecution suggested the motivation could have been, quote, the commission of mass murder at the end as an end of itself, and no evidence of terrorism was found. There's the killer there. It's very interesting how they have no actual pictures of him. There he is. You can see the color of his skin. It's not white, by the way, you guys. Just so you know. Anyway, it is heavily speculated that with the details of this story, that Adolescence was based off of it, and instead they got a white boy to play him. I forgot the name of the killer. You can't blame me. You saw that name. That was a crazy name. But of course, you have web pages like Wikipedia saying that's completely anti-white propaganda. Considering that they got a white guy to play him, I think it is obviously... Not only that, I wasn't aware that they had a lot of like incel / manosphere talking points. That's crazy. Other students, including Kate, had targeted him on Instagram, calling him ugly and labeling him an incel. Oh, wow. This is probably a really woke piece of garbage, isn't it? Well, anyways, this show, I wonder if they're going to make another show based on this stabbing and switch the roles on this one as well, because that's the life we're living right now, you guys, is that they take real life cases like this and they twist it against reality towards, to appeal to their narrative. And that's what Culturama is about, is pointing out the issues with this. And it is drastically negatively impacting our culture and the Great Western culture as this is happening in the UK. And no one's really saying anything about it. I guess Elon Musk did, and that's good. But this is quite unfortunate. And I really do hope that this is not one of those cases where, you have authorities swooping in and trying to muzzle the dad right away. Okay, you guys, I am actually past my time limit. It is time for the Liberty Tonight show. I'm so sorry I went past my time limit. So let me get you the link for that, and so we can call it a night here. Let me get that in the chat for you guys. I'm going to give you the link. They're live right now, everyone. I will see you there. I am so sorry. Let me do my outro here. I have went a little too long. My apologies. There's the link. I dropped the link for you guys in the chat. So please let me get my intro song for you guys. Where is it? There we go.
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty strong.
Okay, you guys, I want to thank you so much for joining Culturama today. Yes, Far Awake, I came in late, so I don't have to leave too early. I want to thank you guys in participating in the conversation, in participating in reclaiming the zeitgeist. Thank you for my wonderful guest, Nick, in joining us today for a conversation. I hope you guys will show up for the gaming stream on Saturday, if that's your cup of tea. If not, I'll see you on Tuesday. But let's reclaim the zeitgeist together. Let's reclaim the future and the past and reinvent our culture towards traditional American values. Let's take back tomorrow today, everyone. I hope you guys have a wonderful, lovely evening, and I will see you on Saturday, everyone. Goodbye and have a blessed evening.
In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive, in the light of freedom's guide. We got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now.